when Keanu Reeves borrowed Tesla coughs and dies outside a small, forgotten auto shop along a dusty stretch of Route 66 in rural Oklahoma. He expects nothing more than a quick repair to get him rolling again. It's late afternoon on April 7th, 2025, and the sun hangs low over the endless plains, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold, the kind of light that makes the cracked pavement shimmer like a faded dream. The electric whir of the sleek, silver car, a loaner from a friend not his own, fades into a pitiful silence, leaving only the rustle of dry grass and the faint twang of a classic rock station drifting through the stillness. Keanu, a man whose name echoes through Hollywood's bright lights, steps out, his boots crunching against the gravel shoulder, his dark sunglasses catching the last rays of daylight. He's been driving cross-country, a restless pilgrimage to shake off the weight of Los Angeles' polished chaos, chasing something he can't quite pin down. The Tesla's dashboard had flashed a warning: battery failure, 20 miles from the nearest charging station, and now he's stranded outside a weathered sign that reads, Carter's Garage. Honest work. Since '74. He adjusts his leather jacket, peering at the squat building with its chipped paint and sagging awning, figuring he'll be back on the road in an hour, tops. But inside, working alone under the dim flicker of fluorescent lights, is Henry Carter, a grizzled 72-year-old mechanic with tired hands and a silent determination that stops Keanu in his tracks. Something about Henry, his precision, his solitude, sticks with Keanu long after he drives away, a quiet imprint that lingers like the aftertaste of strong coffee. The garage is a snapshot of another era, a gritty shrine of oil-stained floors and battered toolboxes, the air thick with the scent of gasoline and metal. Faded Polaroids line the walls, hot rods and semis from Route 66's heyday, when this ribbon of highway was the heartbeat of America, ferrying truckers and wanderers across the plains. A small radio on a cluttered workbench crackles with Creedence Clearwater Revival, the sound weaving through the clatter of Henry's tools as he moves with a slow, steady rhythm. His hands, rough and etched with decades of labor, clutch a wrench like it's part of him, and his gray eyes, shadowed by deep lines, stay fixed on his work. Keanu pushes through the creaky glass door, the bell above jangling weakly, and steps into the half-light. Henry doesn't look up right away, just lets out a low grunt, a sound that could mean anything from hello to get lost. Evening, Keanu says, his voice easy and warm, sliding off his sunglasses to reveal a face that's instantly familiar, yet feels oddly out of place here. Think you could take a look at my car? Henry glances up, squinting at the tall figure in the doorway, then out at the Tesla slumped in front of his shop. Too much tech for my liking, he mutters, wiping grease onto a rag that's more holes than cloth. Keanu chuckles softly, unfazed. Yeah, but a car's a car, right? Henry smirks, a fleeting crack in his gruff shell. A motor's a motor, he agrees, hefting his toolbox and shuffling outside, oblivious to the fact that he's just met Keanu Reeves. As Henry pops the Tesla's hood, his skilled fingers probing the battery compartment, Keanu watches with a quiet interest, arms crossed loosely over his chest. There's a rare quality to this old mechanic, a stubborn authenticity that feels like a relic in a world of disposable fixes. Henry works with a reverence, rigging a solution with a spare battery from his rusted Dodge pickup out back, a beast with 200,000 miles and a dented fender he's too sentimental to fix. These electric gizmos don't have soul, he grumbles, his voice a rough growl. Too many circuits, not enough guts. Keanu nods, leaning closer. I respect people who do it right. Henry snorts, a sharp bark of a laugh. Then you're lost, kid. This ain't the right century. But as he tightens a bolt, a shadow flickers across his face. A wince he buries fast, a hand brushing his chest before he shrugs it off. Keanu catches it, though he stays silent, tucking the moment away like a script note. The air grows heavy with the tang of oil and the weight of unspoken lives. And for a fleeting second, this dusty garage feels like a stage set just for them. Henry's more than a mechanic, though Keanu doesn't know the half of it yet. This shop is his lifeline, the last piece of Ellie, his wife of 40 years who died a decade back. "We built this place from nothing," he mutters, almost to himself, as he wipes grease off a faded photo on the wall. A young Ellie, grinning beside a '68 Mustang, a wrench in her hand. She loved cars as much as he did, and together they made Carter's garage a haven on Route 66, a pit stop where a blown tire or a seized engine didn't spell doom. Now, at 72, with his knees creaking and his chest tightening more than he'll admit, Henry keeps it alive for her. The shops outlasted the big chains and the highway bypass that bled Elk City dry, surviving on the trust of folks who'd rather drive 30 miles for Henry's hands than a dealership's scanner. But trust doesn't cover the bills stacking up, and the banks circling like a vulture. Keanu, standing there in his dark jeans, doesn't see all that. But he feels it, the weight of a man who's given everything to a fading dream. A week later, Keanu rolls back into Elk City, a thermos of black coffee in hand. No Hollywood nonsense, he'd decided, hoping to say thanks. The Tesla's been purring like a dream, but Henry's lodged in his mind, a quiet figure in a noisy world. He pulls up, expecting that dim glow, but the shop is dark, the doors bolted shut, a crooked, closed sign taped to the glass. His gut twists. Something's off. A local named Sam steps out from the gas station across the street, his flannel shirt flapping in the breeze. "You're that fella from last week, huh?" he calls, his voice carrying a slow drawl. Keanu nods, and what Sam says next leaves him standing in the middle of Route 66, shaken. Henry's in the hospital. Bank's taking this place in 2 days. Before we dive deeper into this story, let us know where you're watching from, Oklahoma, California, or somewhere else along the road. And if you enjoy tales like this, subscribe to the channel, because tomorrow we've got another special story lined up for you. The sun was sinking over the plains, draping the world in twilight, and as Keanu stood there, Henry's shadow loomed larger than ever, pulling him into a tale he couldn't walk away from. The late afternoon sun is sinking lower over the Oklahoma plains on April 7, 2025. When Keanu Reeves' borrowed Tesla coughs to a stop, its sleek, silver frame shuddering to a halt just outside Carter's garage on Route 66. The dashboard flashes a stark warning: battery dead, with the nearest charger 20 miles away in Clinton, and the silence that follows feels deafening against the hum of the endless highway. Keanu steps out, his black leather jacket catching the fading light, his boots scuffing the gravel as he surveys the situation. He's been driving for days, crisscrossing the country in this loner from a buddy, trying to outrun the shallow glitz of Los Angeles that's been gnawing at him lately. He expects a tow truck, a quick fix from some bored roadside service, nothing more. But as he pushes open the creaky glass door of the faded auto shop, the bell jingling faintly above, he's met with something else entirely. Henry Carter, a wiry 72-year-old mechanic with a face carved by time and toil, looks up from under the hood of an old Chevy, his gray eyes narrowing at the sight of the Tesla outside. "Fancy electric toys," he grumbles, his voice rough as sandpaper, wiping his grease-stained hands on a rag that's more thread than fabric. "These modern cars don't let you feel the soul anymore." Keanu, expecting a gruff brush-off, is instead floored by what happens next. Henry shuffles out with a toolbox, pops the Tesla's hood, and jury-rigs it with a spare battery from his beat-up Dodge pickup parked out back, a rust bucket with 200,000 miles, and a dented tailgate. "You Hollywood types think everything's a reboot," Henry mutters, a dry wit cutting through his skepticism as he tightens a clamp. "Sometimes it just needs a good kick." Keanu blinks, a slow grin spreading across his face. He's hooked. Inside the garage, the air is thick with the tang of oil and the ghosts of a bygone era. The walls are a patchwork of faded photos. Truckers with wide grins, hot rods gleaming under the sun, and a younger Henry standing proud beside a '68 Mustang, his arm around a woman with a bright smile and a wrench in her hand. That's Ellie, his late wife, though Keanu doesn't know it yet. The shop's floor is stained with decades of spills, the fluorescent lights overhead buzzing faintly, casting long shadows across Henry's workbench. A small radio crackles with Johnny Cash, the mournful twang weaving through the clatter of tools as Henry works. Keanu leans against the doorframe, arms crossed, watching this old man move with a precision that belies his age. Henry's hands, gnarled and scarred from 50 years of fixing engines, dance over the Tesla's battery compartment like they're playing a familiar tune. "Been doing this long?" Keanu asks, his voice low and genuine, cutting through the quiet. Henry doesn't look up, just grunts. "Since '74. Opened this place with Ellie, my wife. She's gone now, but I keep it running." His tone is gruff, but there's a crack in it, a flicker of something deeper. Keanu nods, sensing the weight behind the words, though Henry doesn't elaborate. Instead, he steps back, wiping his forehead with the back of his hand. "Try it now," he says, nodding toward the Tesla. Keanu slides into the driver's seat, turns the key, and the car hums to life, a smooth, electric purr that fills the silence. Henry crosses his arms, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. There she is. Keanu climbs out, reaching for his wallet, but Henry waves him off before he can even pull out a bill. "Seeing her purr again's worth more than your bucks," he says, his voice firm, almost defiant. Keanu pauses, hand hovering midair, surprised by the refusal. There's a pride in Henry that runs deeper than stubbornness. It's a lifeline, a tether to something he's not ready to let go. Keanu respects it, tucking the wallet back into his jacket. "Fair enough," he says, meeting Henry's gaze. "But I owe you one." Henry snorts, turning back to his workbench. "Just don't bring that thing back dead again." But as he speaks, his hand brushes his chest, a quick wince flickering across his face before he buries it, shaking it off like dust. Keanu catches it, the slight hitch in Henry's breath, the way his shoulders tense for a split second, and it sticks with him. He doesn't push, doesn't ask, but it's there, a quiet note in the back of his mind. Henry's not just keeping this shop alive for himself. It's for Ellie, the woman in the photo, the memory that fuels every turn of his wrench. 40 years ago, Ellie and I built this place with our bare hands, Henry mutters, almost to himself, as he wipes grease off that faded picture on the wall. Keanu doesn't hear it, but he feels it. The weight of a life poured into this garage. There's more to Keanu's presence here than a dead battery, though he doesn't say it out loud. He's been driving to escape, to shake off the hollow sheen of LA that's been clawing at him since he lost a friend to addiction years back. A guy who'd been real, raw, the kind of person who'd laugh at Tesla breakdowns and fix them with duct tape. Henry's authenticity hits a nerve, stirring up echoes of that loss. This old mechanic with his no-nonsense grit and quiet skill reminds Keanu of someone he couldn't save, someone who slipped away while he was stuck in the spotlight. "You work alone?" Keanu asks, glancing around the empty shop. "Always have," Henry replies, his voice rough but not unkind. "Folks don't fix things anymore, just swap parts and charge a fortune." Keanu nods, a flicker of admiration in his eyes. "I respect that. A real mechanic." Henry snorts again, louder this time. "Damn right." The moment hangs between them, simple but heavy. Two men from different worlds finding common ground in the hum of a fixed engine. Before Keanu leaves, Henry shuffles to a dented coffee pot in the corner, pouring a mug of black sludge that's been brewing since sunrise. "Real diner coffee," he says, shoving it toward Keanu with a scoff. "None of that LA Starbucks nonsense." Keanu takes it, the bitter heat searing his throat, and grins. "Tastes like the road," he says. raising the mug in a quiet toast. Henry grunts, but there's a glint in his eye. Approval, maybe. The shop's walls, lined with those Route 66 memories, truckers, hot rods, Henry and Ellie in their prime, seem to watch them. A silent chorus of a life built on sweat and steel. Keanu heads back to the Tesla, the engine purring under his touch. But as he drives off into the twilight, Henry lingers in his mind. The old man's skill, his dry wit, that fleeting wince, they stick with him, a puzzle he can't quite solve yet. This isn't just a pit stop, it's the start of something neither of them sees coming. A week after his Tesla hummed back to life under Henry Carter's skilled hands, Keanu Reeves finds himself drawn back to Elk City, Oklahoma, on April 14, 2025. The late afternoon sun dips low over the sprawling plains, casting long shadows across Route 66 as he pulls up to Carter's garage in the same borrowed silver Tesla. In his hand is a thermos of black coffee. No LA Starbucks nonsense. Just the strong, bitter brew he figures Henry would approve of. A small gesture to say thanks for that unexpected fix. The memory of Henry's dry wit and quiet grit has lingered with him, cutting through the noise of his cross-country drive like a beacon. Keanu steps out, his boots crunching against the gravel, expecting to see the dim glow of fluorescent lights and hear the clank of tools from inside the faded auto shop. But the sight that greets him stops him cold. The garage is dark, its glass door boarded up with splintered plywood, a crooked, closed sign taped unevenly across it. The awning sags heavier than before, and the air feels still, too still, like the life's been sucked out of the place. His stomach twists, a gut punch he didn't see coming. Something's wrong, terribly wrong. Before he can process it, a voice calls out from across the street. "You're that fella from last week, ain't you?" It's Sam, a wiry man in his 50s with a faded flannel shirt and a gas station cap, stepping out from his pumps 30 feet away. Keanu turns, nodding slowly, and Sam's next words hit like a freight train. "Bank's taking it in 48 hours. Henry collapsed working late. He's at County General now." Keanu's grip tightens on the thermos, the warmth seeping through the metal, suddenly feeling out of place. Sam sighs, kicking at the dirt. Town's dying too. Carter's garage was its last spark. The news lands hard, and Keanu doesn't waste a second. He's back in the Tesla, speeding 30 miles west to County General Hospital in Clinton, the plains blurring past as the sky darkens into twilight. His mind races, replaying that moment a week ago. Henry's wince, the way he'd brushed his chest like it was nothing. Keanu should have asked, should have stayed longer, but he'd driven off, leaving the old mechanic to his solitude. Now, the stakes are rising fast and he can feel it in his bones. This isn't just about a car anymore. He pulls into the hospital lot, the antiseptic tang of the place hitting him as he strides through the sliding doors. His leather jacket a stark contrast to the sterile white walls. The nurse at the desk barely blinks, too tired for starstruck, pointing him to room 214. "He's stable, but don't expect much chatter," she warns. Keanu nods, taking the stairs two at a time, and steps into a dimly lit room where Henry lies hooked to an IV, his face pale against the stark sheets. The old man's eyes crack open, sharp despite the pallor, and his first words are pure Henry. "Don't tell me that Tesla crapped out already." Keanu grins, a flicker of relief cutting through the tension, and sets the thermos on the bedside table. "Still running like a dream," he says, pulling up a chair. But the humor fades fast. Henry shifts, wincing as he adjusts and mutters, "Docs say my heart's giving up. Too much grease and grief, I guess." His voice is rough, but there's no self-pity, just fact. Keanu leans forward, voice low. "Let me help, Henry." The old man's gaze hardens, unyielding. "I don't take handouts, kid." Keanu exhales, recognizing that pride. It's the same steel that kept Henry going all these years. the same steel that's breaking him now. Back at the garage, Sam had painted a picture Keanu can't shake. "Henry's more than a mechanic round here," he'd said, leaning against a rusted pump as the wind whipped through. "Fixed cars for free when folks couldn't pay. Like that single mom, Jenny, whose van he patched up so she could keep her job at the diner 10 miles down the road. Wouldn't take a dime, just said, 'Pay me when you're on your feet.'" Sam's eyes had drifted to the boarded-up shop, his voice dropping. "He's Route 66's last gearhead, you know. Kept this place alive when the bypass killed everything else." Keanu had nodded, the thermos still warm in his hand, feeling the weight of a town teetering on the edge. Elk City's been bleeding out for years, shops shuttered, gas stations barely scraping by, the once bustling artery of Route 66 reduced to a faint pulse. Carter's garage was its heartbeat, a stubborn holdout against the march of time and progress, and Henry was the man who kept it beating. Sam's words echo now as Keanu sits by Henry's bedside, the beeping heart monitor a grim metronome. The bank's circling, ready to snatch the shop in 48 hours, and with Henry down, there's no one left to fight for it. Or for Elk City. The community impact is clear. Lose Henry. Lose the last spark that kept this place from fading into dust. Keanu's not here just to say thanks anymore. There's something bigger driving him. Something that's been simmering since he first saw Henry's hands dance over that Tesla battery. He leans back in the chair, studying the old man's weathered face, and reflects on why this matters so much. "I've met a million people," he says, almost to himself. "Actors, directors, billionaires. But guys like you, real ones, don't fade in this world." His voice is steady, but there's a crack in it, a shadow of regret. He's thinking of a friend he lost years ago to addiction, a guy who'd been raw, honest, the kind who'd fix a carburetor with a grin and a beer, not drown in LA's excess. Keanu couldn't save him, couldn't pull him back from the edge, and that failure's haunted him ever since, a quiet ache he's carried through every red carpet and blockbuster. Henry's different, stubborn, real, a man who's poured his life into this shop for Ellie, for the people who trusted him. Keanu's not just trying to save Henry or the garage, he's redeeming his own regrets, proving that this time he can make a difference. "You've been holding this place together," he says, meeting Henry's gaze. "What happens when you're not there?" Henry shrugs, the motion weak but defiant. "Guess it's done." Keanu tilts his head, jaw tightening. "Does that sit right with you?" Henry doesn't answer, but the silence speaks volumes. It doesn't, and Keanu knows it. The tension in the room is palpable, the clock ticking down on the garage, on Henry, on Elk City itself. Keanu's mind is already turning, piecing together a plan. Not charity, because Henry'd never take it, but something more. He's not leaving this hospital without a fight, because this isn't just about a broken heart or a boarded-up shop anymore. It's about a legacy, a town, and a chance to right a wrong he's carried too long. Henry might not see it yet, but Keanu's drive is clear. He's here to make sure the real ones don't fade. Not this time. In the sterile glow of County General Hospital, Keanu Reeves sits by Henry Carter's bedside, the steady beep of the heart monitor marking time like a countdown. It's April 15th, 2025, less than 48 hours since Keanu learned the bank was poised to seize Carter's garage, and the weight of that deadline presses hard. Henry, pale but stubborn as ever, has shot down any talk of handouts, his pride as unyielding as the Oklahoma plains outside. But Keanu's not offering charity. He's got a plan, one that's been taking shape since he stood in front of the boarded-up shop on Route 66, feeling the pulse of a town on the brink. "You built something, Henry," he says, leaning forward, his voice low but firm. "Not just a garage, a way of doing things right. That doesn't have to end." Henry's gray eyes narrow, skeptical, but Keanu presses on, outlining a vision not of cash, but of legacy. Henry's Route 66 Garage Academy, a mobile repair unit that'll train locals in classic car fixes and cutting-edge green tech, like the Tesla batteries Henry grumbled about a week ago. He'll use his fame to crowdfund it, rallying fans and gearheads across the country to save the shop before the bank's deadline. Henry snorts, a weak sound that's half laugh, half defiance. Sounds like a damn movie plot, kid. Keanu smirks, undeterred. Maybe, but it's your story. He's not just fighting for Henry or the garage. He's fighting for Elk City, for the ghost of his friend he couldn't save, for a chance to prove the real ones don't have to fade. Keanu moves fast. Back in Elk City, 30 miles from the hospital, he sets up shop in Sam's gas station, borrowing a laptop and a shaky Wi-Fi signal to launch the crowdfunding campaign. "This is Carter's garage," he says in a raw, unpolished video, standing in front of the boarded-up shop as the sun sets over Route 66. "Henry Carter's been fixing cars here for 50 years. Fixed mine last week, no charge. He's the last of his kind and this town needs him. Help us keep his legacy alive." The post goes viral, shared by fans, car clubs, even a few celebrities Keanu's worked with. Donations pour in. $5 from a trucker in Tulsa, $500 from a Mustang enthusiast in Chicago, hitting the goal in 36 hours. Keanu rallies locals too, pulling Sam and a handful of others to clean the garage, rip off the plywood, and paint a new sign. Henry Carter's Garage. Since '74. Fixing the future right. The mobile unit, a retrofitted van stocked with tools and tech, takes shape in record time, funded by the campaign and a quiet donation Keanu slips in, knowing Henry'd hate it if he knew. By the morning of April 17th, with hours to spare before the bank's deadline, the shop's ready to reopen. Transformed, but still humming with the grit of its past. Sam shakes his head, grinning as he sweeps the floor. "Didn't think Hollywood could pull this off," he says. Keanu just shrugs. "It's not Hollywood, it's Henry." The climax comes in two parts, each a punch to the heart. First, Keanu's back at the hospital, pulling up a chair beside Henry, who's looking stronger but still tethered to an IV. The doctors have stabilized him with medication. His heart's battered but manageable, they say. Enough for him to oversee the shop part-time, if he takes it easy. Henry's not one for easy, but he's listening when Keanu flips his phone to show a live stream of the first mobile unit, rolling out of the garage. Teens and veterans, new apprentices in grease-stained aprons, cheer as the van's engine roars to life, its side emblazoned with Henry's name. The crowd chants, "Carter! Carter!" And Keanu zooms in on a kid holding a wrench, mimicking Henry's grip. Henry stares, his jaw tight, but his eyes glisten, betraying him. "Ellie'd love this circus," he rasps, his voice thick with emotion, picturing his late wife, who'd have been out there barking orders with a grin. Keanu nods, his own throat tight. "She'd be proud, Henry. So am I." It's not just a moment. It's a bridge between Henry's past and a future he didn't think he'd see. The second peak hits at the reopening, hours later. The garage is alive again, its doors flung wide, the air buzzing with the clank of tools, and the chatter of a crowd that spills onto Route 66. Locals pack the lot, folks Henry's helped over the years. From Jenny, the single mom whose van he fixed for free, to old-timers who drove 50 miles to be here. Travelers stopped too, drawn by the buzz of the crowdfunding story, snapping photos of the new sign as classic rock blares from Henry's ancient radio. Henry's there, against doctor's orders, leaning on a cane but sharp as ever. He spots Jake, a nervous 19-year-old apprentice, fumbling with a wrench on a beat-up Ford. "Hold that thing like you mean it," Henry barks, his voice carrying that old fire. Jake gulps, adjusts his grip, and tries again, earning a grudging nod. Keanu, standing back in his leather jacket, chuckles. Henry's still kicking, and that's the proof he needed. The academy's already changing things. Jake lands a job with a local shop, mentored by the veterans Henry's training. Jenny gets her truck's brakes fixed free by the mobile unit, keeping her diner shifts. Elk City feels alive again. Route 66, humming with new traffic, car clubs, tourists, even a blogger calling it the comeback of America's highway. The scale of this transformation goes beyond the garage. The Academy's mobile unit isn't just a repair service. It's a lifeline, teaching skills that blend Henry's old-school know-how with green tech for a new generation. A week later, a second van's in the works, funded by ongoing donations, and a nearby diner reports its best sales in years, thanks to the crowds. Henry oversees it all part-time, grumbling about kids and their fancy gadgets, but beaming when Jake nails a carburetor fix. Keanu watches it unfold, feeling a weight lift. Not just Henry's burden, but his own. He's been chasing redemption since he lost his friend to addiction, a failure that's haunted him through every spotlight. Helping Henry, saving this town, isn't about erasing that. It's about proving he can fight for the real ones while they're still here. As the crowd thins and the sun dips low, Henry catches Keanu's eye, his cane tapping the pavement. "Guess I owe you one," he mutters. Keanu shakes his head, gesturing to the buzzing garage. "You already paid me back by showing it's still worth doing right." The new sign glows in the twilight, a testament to a legacy reborn, and Route 66 feels like it's found its soul again. One quiet evening, as the sun dips below the Oklahoma horizon on April 17, 2025, Henry Carter stands beneath the freshly painted sign of Henry Carter's Garage, since 74, fixing the future right, his cane tapping the pavement in a slow, steady rhythm. The golden glow of twilight bathes Route 66, casting long shadows across the revitalized garage in Elk City, and beside him stands Keanu Reeves, his leather jacket slung over one shoulder, a faint smirk tugging at his lips. The air hums with life. Tools clank as Jake, the 19-year-old apprentice, tinkers with a pickup's engine. Laughter echoes from a group of locals swapping stories near the mobile repair unit parked out front. Henry, still grumbling but proud, squints up at the sign, his gray eyes tracing the letters that bear his name. "Guess I fixed your ride," he mutters, his voice rough but warm. "And you fixed mine," Keanu chuckles, shaking his head. "Nah, Henry, you showed me the right way's worth fighting for." The garage, once a boarded-up shell facing foreclosure, now pulses with energy, its doors flung wide, Route 66's heart beating strong again. It's more than a shop. It's a testament to a man who refused to let his craft die, and to another who refused to let that man fade into the dust. The emotional payoff runs deep, a current that ties Henry's past to a future he never dared imagine. For 50 years, he poured his life into this garage. Every wrench turned a tribute to Ellie, his late wife who'd built it with him brick by brick. Her photo still hangs on the wall, grease-smudged but smiling. And now her spirit lives on in the Henry's Route 66 Garage Academy, a mobile unit training kids like Jake and veterans alike in the art of fixing cars, from classic V8s to Tesla batteries. Henry's legacy stretches beyond him, woven into the fabric of Elk City, a town that was dying until this moment. Jenny, the single mom whose van he once patched up for free, drives by with a wave, her brakes humming thanks to the Academy's work. Sam, the gas station owner across the street, leans on his pump, grinning as travelers stop to snap photos, drawn by the buzz of a crowdfunding miracle that beat the bank's 48-hour deadline. For Keanu, it's a debt repaid, not in dollars, but in meaning. He'd been chasing purpose since he lost a friend to addiction years ago, a raw soul he couldn't save, and Henry's stubborn authenticity gave him a chance to make it right. Standing here, watching the garage thrive, Keanu feels a weight lift. Not fame's shallow sheen, but a quiet redemption earned through sweat and steel. The lessons here are as real as the grease under Henry's nails. Life's taught Henry that pride can keep you going, but it's connection that keeps you alive. Ellie's memory drove him, and Keanu's push gave it wings. For Keanu, it's a reminder that the spotlight means nothing if you don't use it to lift others up. He could have written a check and walked away, but he built something lasting instead. And for all of us watching this unfold, there's a truth worth holding on to. The right way, doing things with heart, with grit, with care, still matters, even when the world tries to bury it under shortcuts and flash. Henry's grumbling pride, Jake's shaky hands learning the trade, Sam's quiet faith in a fading town. They're proof that small acts can ripple out, that one person's fight can spark a revival. Route 66, once a ghost of its past, buzzes again because two men refuse to let it die. It's a lesson in resilience, in legacy, in finding purpose where you least expect it, under a flickering fluorescent light, in a dusty garage, on a highway that's seen better days. As the sun sets over the plains, casting a golden glow on the mobile unit rolling down Route 66, Henry's name shines on its side, a story that won't fade. The van's engine growls, a blend of old-school muscle and green tech hum, carrying Jake and a crew to fix a stranded traveler's car 10 miles out. Back at the garage, the crowd thins, but the energy lingers, tools clanking, voices rising over the radio's classic rock. Henry leans on his cane, stabilized by meds and stubborn will, overseeing it all, part-time with a grumble and a nod. He's still kicking, barking at Jake to tighten that bolt right, and the kid listens, learning the craft Henry's spent a lifetime perfecting. Keanu steps back, letting the scene unfold. The thermos of black coffee he'd brought days ago still sitting on Henry's workbench, a quiet symbol of their bond. Elk City's alive again, shops reopening, travelers stopping, Route 66 reclaiming its soul. And it's because Henry's legacy rolled on, not just in steel and oil, but in the hands he's teaching to hold a wrench like they mean it. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've stuck with us through the dust of Route 66, the clank of Henry's tools, the roar of that mobile unit hitting the road. Your support, your cheers from wherever you're tuning in, mean the world. Stories like this don't happen without you. Folks who see the value in the real ones, who root for the underdog, who know a good fight when they see it. So let us know where you're watching from. Oklahoma's wide plains, California's coast, or somewhere else along life's highway. Drop a comment, share your thoughts. Did Henry's grit hit you as hard as it hit Keanu? And if these tales of heart and hustle resonate with you, hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow we've got another special story lined up. Another shot at the right way. Another spark worth fighting for. Your voices keep this channel rolling, just like Henry's garage keeps Elk City alive. And we're grateful for every one of you riding along. Henry turns to Keanu as the last light fades, the new sign glowing above them. "Didn't think I'd see this," he mutters, his voice softer now, almost reverent. Keanu nods, his smirk softening into something real. "You earned it, Henry. Ellie, too." The old man grunts, but there's a pride in it, a grumbling kind that says more than words ever could. The mobile unit disappears around a bend, its taillights winking in the dusk, and the garage stands firm, a beacon on Route 66, a legacy forged in grease and grit. Keanu slips his jacket back on, ready to hit the road again, but not before one last look at the man who showed him what fighting for the right way really means. The plains stretch out, vast and quiet, but the heart of this town beats loud, and Henry Carter's name rolls on, shining bright, a story that's just begun.